I'm Kirk Mothner. I'm from Invermere, British Columbia, up in Canada, and I teach. I teach mountaineering, I teach skiing, I also teach rescue, and I teach rescue internationally. I design equipment as well, anything between a rope and an anchor. And I'm down here now at Pewaukee, Wisconsin in the Harken factory, right where the Wingman product is being made. This is something I thought of probably about 15 years ago. It didn't look anything like it does here, but it was the idea to have some kind of a mechanical advantage raising and lowering system for a human or something that is almost your mass that you can alter the position of, whether it's stretcher work or an attendant. Really, it was the ability to release under load. And that's really what I wanted to do, is I'm fully under tension and I want to be able to lower myself or an object without having to lift in first. And that was always a crux. When a product works, you kind of go, oh, good, let's go. And you kind of go, no, it's not, we're not all the way there yet. I still have questions, I still have concerns, and I think it can be made better. And so that ultimately led to, well, who can I work with to make it better? And that's where I allianced with Harken. And that's what led to this version. And so now it's a compact unit that's called the Wingman. So it's very similar in principle. So you've got a double shift block on top with the becket off to the side, or the rope termination off to the side, so that it gets out of the way and clears the room. But the principle down here is really the same thing. It's a locking sheave that doesn't have much backlash when you pull on it whatsoever, and you can release it under load. And I think the nice leap forward was how that was designed so that it's very predictable where the force limit is. The machining is beautiful, and the innovation of how the release lever works, I think it's come a long way.
My name is John Malcolm. I'm a senior engineer working with new product development at Harken. Kirk and I met about 3 years ago, a little less than 3 years ago here at Harken. I had known of Kirk just running into his work, either through patents or hardware that he had produced.
Some people have heard of the tandem prusik belay, and that led to me developing a product called the 540 rescue belay. That slowly worked into, well, sometimes we lower people down into a canyon to go get somebody, raise them back out. And so there's a changeover required, and it was complex to go from a descent control system to a raise, and I designed another product. Collaborated a bit with my friends from Rock Exotica, and then ultimately it got licensed to CMC, a product called the MPD. That ultimately led to a number of other products for work positioning, for raising, lowering, block and tackle advantages, high lines, high lead systems. Actually, that was one of the things that really impressed me with Harken, is when we first met and started talking about which projects might we want to work on together. And the question came up, okay, well, let's talk about the Wingman. And we identify, well, what needs working on it, because how far along is it? And one of the things was, well, what do we deal with on the top swivel? How do we mount that? And immediately everybody was providing solutions or ideas. And I go, this is unusual. This is awesome. It was very good. I thought it was very healthy.
At Harken, I've had some experience with collaborating on different projects, but generally the collaboration's been on projects where we're still starting from basically concept and then working through to final design. And this was unusual in that Kirk's concept had been pretty well developed by the time I got here. It certainly had room for refinement, but it was kind of interesting for me to jump into a project that was pretty well thought out.
There's some huge engineering expertise within Harken when it comes to rigging, for obvious reasons. That's the business Harken is in, and it shows. It really does show. There's users here of rigging that are also designers, engineers, And I found that other manufacturers are, they have their strengths. And sometimes it's hard to articulate a user's perspective to a product when the designer or the engineer doesn't know how a product could be used. And I find that an advantage in collaborating with Harken.